At the local place in Kakao Chicken, there are two men discussing. A young blonde man whose zodiac sign is Sagittarius says, "Jian, listen to me carefully. You're going to die tomorrow." "As that," said a man who was wearing a hood, eating a chicken. Response, "Oh Teksu, why do you want me to die so badly?" The person in this hoodie is the 13th awakening zodiac sign named Li Jian. He goes on and explains confidently, "I'm not going to die. The amount of calamities that I have killed is way more than all of you 12 saints combined." This made Teksu speechless. Let's take a look at one of the dangerous places in the planet. Behold Demon Tower, the place where the world's calamity that annihilated humanity lives. The cause of this started on the last day of the 20th century. The calamities appear out of nowhere one day and drove humans into a corner with overwhelming power. This makes all the people around the world feeling scared. As then 12 gods who called themselves the divine gods appeared. Those 12 promise humans that they'd give them the power to overcome the calamities. And they'd selected well-awakened to receive the power. Just as they do so, something unexpected happened. A strong masculine-looking man appeared out of nowhere, and that man had not received the power from any god at all. Compared to the rest of the saints that got their power of gods, he is far more stronger than them. He wiped out the whole monsters like it's nothing to him, and that man is Li Jian. Teksu thanked him for helping them and promised to buy him fried chicken for 5 years. BTW, his real name is Hugo Otters, but we'll just go with the flow. Aside from that, we see a woman and a man talking about eliminating the Crimson Eye. The guy seems to be so confident and greedy at the same time. Jian came up with a plan to lay low for 10 years. But things didn't go as he expected. 2 of the saints denied him awfully and talked bad about him as well, because all they care about is money. They might have got the name of saints, but in reality they are just thugs, like Jian said. After that, Jian made a clear mind that he'll cut connections with those saints off after they defeated the Crimson Eye. Soon after, we see a red glowing light shining through everyone, and according to their expressions, they seem so terrified. Welcome to the boss's territory, the Demon Tower's boss, Crimson Eye. This boss is no joke, as it makes everyone feel such pressure just from looking at him. As it roars, the ground starts to break, and an explosion blows up from the underground, sending them saints away to the side. Little do they know that the battle between saints and the Crimson Eye has begun. The explosion keeps getting bigger and bigger, and it makes everyone shocked as they underestimated him. The face of the Crimson Eye shows that he is more than ready to hunt more tasty saints. The saints waste no time, they started to run away from the boss, while our brave young man Jioen stood in a position and is so ready to challenge the Crimson Eye one-on-one. Jian shows no mercy. He instantly charges at the boss directly in his face with no fear. Just so, suddenly thousands of calamities are chasing towards Jian. Jian kept on slashing and slashing, even with his arm got ripped off. As time passed, 20 years later, we see Jian have killed all of the calamities that rest in the dimension he was stuck at, and he finished the last one remaining off. Thinking he is free from this cursed dimension, he fainted to the ground. Moving on, we see a city which has fallen down badly, and there's people screaming in there. There is 2 boys being chased by the big wolves, which are one of the highest ranked calamities. They kept ran and ran and ran till at one point they got surrounded by the calamities, and thinking it's the end of them. Suddenly a big explosion came out from the Demon Tower, which caught everyone's attention, including the calamities. Behind the smoky sand there's a human walking enraged, saying how he got betrayed, and will get his revenge on them back. Now we see air, rocking, flying everywhere. The next thing we know is that young man that came out of the tower is beating the wolves up, stacking them like it's nothing to him. He suddenly jumped at the kids thinking they were monsters, but after some talking, they settled down. Not even a minute later a huge shadow passed over, and it was the boss of the wolves. The young man confidently smiled and get straight to business, teaching that boss a lesson. He smacked its head down to the ground with one blow. Finally, everything now is all over. Then they went to eat and buy some clothes. While the young man was eating, he looked at the spoon and see the reflection of himself, and shocked and asked where the mirror at. He looked at himself amazed and thinking about the past, which is completely different from how he is looking right now. he looked at every part of his body and suddenly found a mark on his left palm and it begins to glow simultaneously. A system popped up saying that he had experienced death, he had achieved the impossible, his existing abilities will be passed on to a new body, he has generated zodiac skills which is able to use the strength of the Ophiuchus. Now a gigantic green snake has appeared in front of his eyes, touching his hand as it disappeared before his eyes. He acts dumb in front of the kids and ran away. He started to think about the thing that just flashed his eyes, the stats of himself showed up. He is now ready to kill those saints that betrayed him while on the journey. Going back to the Demon Tower scene, we see the reporters discussing the situation that had happened. They are wondering about the person who came out of the Demon Tower. Meanwhile, in a building, there's cameras, microphones all over the place with a lot of people asking Sir Yang Wei about Li Jian. Yang Wei is the Aries saint. He had no comment at all and walked out of the stage. Inside the car we see that Yang Wei seems so frustrated about the existence of Jian after 20 years. Yet Yang Wei still refused to believe that Jian survived through all of that hellfire. His final thought seems to be to bother with his plan. Going back to Jian, we see him looking at the phone planning on destroying one specific guy. Switching to the airport, there's a big private plane that just landed and a well-dressed man came out with a warm welcome from the bodyguards. And that man is Hugo Otters, aka Texu. Texu came here for a reason, he is here to have a discuss with the Prime Minister at his residence. While Texu is in the car, he's suddenly getting a phone call from an unknown person. He thought this was just some reporters, so he decided not to pick up. He is getting a flashback from 20 years ago where they went into the Demon Tower. At the time he was taking care of the calamities outside the tower on Jian's request. While praying for Jian to return safely, but in the end the saints came smiling for the rewards instead of worrying about Jian's safety. The moment Texu heard about Jian's death his heart shattered and keeps begging for the saints to go back and look for Jian as to make sure he is alive or not. But to our surprising they rejected that calmly as they are now rich and well known, so they don't even care about Jian's existence anymore. Oh, now he is getting a call from the Prime Minister. They are having a small talk about the news of the fallen Demon Tower. According to the news that I just received from the Korean government, that one specific call line just rang moments ago. Texu seems so shocked about the person behind this call line, so he asked the Prime Minister. Unexpectedly this call line was from Li Jian. After hearing Texu was more excited than ever, he quickly tells the driver to stop the car immediately. And of course, the call that he received earlier was indeed from the one and only Jian. He calls him and to his surprising Jian said, "I will find you, and I will kill you. Good luck." After hearing that voice, Texu can confirm that it is indeed Jian's voice. He tells the driver to turn the car back to the airport without thinking about anything else. Going back to restaurant, Jian and the kid he saved earlier are looking at the news about Jian himself as it is one of the most trending news on the internet right now. He sees everyone talking bad about him, he gets furious and about to squeeze the phone to dust in a matter of second. Luckily, he cools down and move on to another news. He was so relieved to see that he donated all of his properties and possessions to orphanages and scholarship foundations. But that happy moment doesn't even last any longer than 10 seconds. Then he sees another note saying that those are all passed down to the 12 saints to help save humanity. At that moment the fire kicks in and yes, we have to say goodbye to the innocent smartphone of the boy. Jian sat in one place thinking about what he should do next, whether he should tell everyone that he is Li Jian or not. At the end he decided to lay low for now and take care of those saints one by one. Suddenly a system popped up warning Jian that someone is watching him. Jian is familiar with the presence, so he rushed outside. The moment he got outside, a group, big powerful Red Bulls were right in front of his eyes. They are the underlings of Ares, just as Jian is about to destroy the heck out of them, but then he heard someone keeps repeating his name, which caught his attention to look back. Those couple keep complaining about Jian non-stop. According to the gold symbol on his shirt, it is a zodiac sign of Gemini, which is a group of people from Gemini. Jian was staring at the man, and the man noticed that. The kid from the back screaming at Jian to come back quickly as they are not the type of people he should mess with. Jian didn't listen to him and still remained calm and looked straight into the man's eyes. The man says, "What are you looking at?" in a furious way. He then blows smoke of cigarette at Jian's face and asks why. "You angry?" He begin to mock Jian, then the girl trying to cool the man down as she doesn't want any of these to get more serious. As they walked away, the man is still making fun of Jian, but Jian hold himself down. Around the time, the kid came complimenting him for holding his anger because those Gemini people are over-ranked. Just as he done speaking, Jian turned back and start shouting at the man saying, "Hey you roaches." Both of them looked back in an unexpected way as no one had never dared to call them like that before. Jian continued on saying, "Yeah, two of you. A couple of cockroaches." They both bumped into each other's heads while the man was speaking confidently. Jian snapped a finger on his forehead and got him sent fly away about 10 meters. The woman was screaming in fear as then she quickly got behind Jian's back and is about to launch a powerful attack on him, but things doesn't go as what she expected. Because Jian's already knew what she was up to. He turned back and snapped her out of his sight in a matter of seconds. The kids ask why would he use his abilities out in the street. Jian responds, "They would have been dead if I had used my ability." Seems like Jian made a huge mess of A-rank disciples using only his fists. Jian began to search up the man's belongings on his body and saw the necklace he wore. He was wondering why would such a person like this man get his hand with this divine artifact. The kid began to explain that humanity almost went extinct from the calamities several decades ago. They survived thanks to the divine gods and the saints they chose. The saints gathered people to follow them and made a divine cadre. The people who have awakened by being granted power from the saints are called disciples and ranked proportionally to their power. Oops, the explanation got cut out by something else now. Seems like Household's Aries are back and trying to manipulate Jian. The kid quickly tells Jian to do as they want in a terrified way as this might cause some big trouble. Jian realizes the work behind Yang Wei goons which drives him insanely mad. He instantly stomps the ground powerfully to point where the households run away. Now it's time for Jian to start looting from the Gemini disciples. In this scene we see that Jian and the kids have just arrived somewhere, which is the kids' apartment. The kids thanked Jian for saving them and invited him to come over to his place. Once they got into the apartment, Jian started to groom himself, and in a short period of time we can see the transformation of Jian started to appear. Right after the boy complimented him, Jian sensed something unusual. It's a small calamity that keeps coming in because they are attracted to one specific scent. And that scent is coming from the shiny gold evil artifacts here. The boy confused because he received these items from the Gemini saint and is known to be blessed by the saint. The boy didn't get to finish telling his story to Jian. Jian started to destroy those artifacts one by one. Then suddenly there is a red-haired man opening the door. As he got in, his expression doesn't seem to be in a good mood at all. Jian asks who he is. The red-haired man says, "I'm the owner of this house." Meanwhile at Yang Wei's residence we hear someone discussing something important. The household gods in Korea have disappeared, which leaves Yang Wei's Korean branch in a panic right now. Yang Wei is wondering about the person who did all of these by himself, as that is the household gods are the direct subordinates of the divine gods. No awakened or no saints would dare to chase them out like that. Yang Wei quickly tells his man to contact the other saints immediately to find out the reasons behind this incident. Then his man responds that Hugo or Teksu is still uncontactable as always, but Yang Wei doesn't care about that. His man begins to tell him about Teksu's destination from England to Korea, which makes Yang Wei thinking about something. Teksu was Jian's best friend and there's rumors about Jian's survival, so that could be one of the reasons why he flew back to Korea. That made him believe that Jian really did come back alive, which makes him really mad that he threw things to the ground. He later on found out that a disciple of Gemini was found to have fainted and naked. Based on the witnesses he quarreled with a handsome man. Yang Wei begins to think that if this goes on his position will be threatened. He then made a clear answer that he will fly to Korea to investigate all about these with his own eyes.